Hi. I understand. It's not always easy to generate the kind of enthusiasm required to complete these topics. But if you'll stick with me, I think we can have a good time and get things on their way. Okay? Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about your sophomore research paper. This is just by way of introduction. First of all, we want to remember that the purpose of research is to find out new things. So you're going to be introduced to a lot of new things, and that's awesome. That's what you're here for. But research implies that it is a serious inquiry into new facts. And truth is, you're going to be doing research throughout not only your academic career, not just in English, any other class you take, not just in high school, but in college, but for the rest of your life. And so it's important to understand how to do it well so that it doesn't take up too much time. For this paper, you're going to research an archetype, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about right now. Carl Jung is the man who introduced the notion of the archetype. He has influenced not just psychology, psychiatry, philosophy, and the arts, but many other areas of human endeavors and research as well. What are archetypes? They're a kind of an ideal, which means a perfect type, or a model, like you might have, the model of the new car that's coming out starts out to be only 3 by 4 inches, and it's out of clay, and then they try to put it into action. So it's a kind of a perfect thing that you don't encounter directly, but you encounter repeatedly in all aspects of your experience as a human being who shares his or her life with other human beings. There can be archetypal events, birth, death, separation from parents, there are more, but these are events that happen obviously to every single human being. And so we as humans who undergo these events, who witness these events, who participate in these events, have to find ways to understand them. And the archetypes are one way to do that. There are archetypal figures, very many. Now this is just 4 I'm naming here. The child, the wise old man, the trickster, the hero, not just Odysseus, but others of course. And there are archetypal motifs, such as apocalypse, deluge, creation, and other motifs, again, things that all human beings encounter and try to make sense of. The origin of these archetypes, argues Carl Jung, is the collective unconscious. We don't have to go right now for our purposes into what that means psychologically. We don't have to agree or disagree. What we need to do right now is just understand the idea that in our thinking, there's very little that we can be continually aware or conscious of. And that's while we're awake, of course, and we're attentive, and we can only attend to so many things. Behind that is the rest of ourself, our unconscious, all kinds of stored memories, all kinds of stored imaginations, our hopes, our dreams, the things that we haven't figured out yet, and that can be called the unconscious. The reason that Carl Jung uses the term collective unconscious is he says that all human beings experience some very basic things in incredibly, strikingly similar ways. And these are what he attributes to either the identifying of, the discovery of, or the creation of the archetype in our literature, in our fine arts, in all aspects of our lives. Here's just one example, the hero's journey. And you can see that here the term conscious and unconscious is called the known and the unknown. And so what there is a lot of is the unknown. And that's what stays in the back of our minds, things that we maybe don't want to think about. If you look at the bottom there, the abyss, the death and the rebirth tends to be more death, so we don't want to look at that. What we like to do is look at the call to adventure and the exciting part and the starting of it. But this is not only applicable to a hero's journey like Odysseus, previously mentioned, but the fact that every one of our lives is a journey, and we know very little bit about it. Not only where it started, but definitely where it's going. And so this is one way that we can come to understand more about it, come to think about it, come to reflect upon our lives and where we're going. For the purpose of this paper, we're going to give you a sheet that looks very much like this. It's uploaded to Edmodo. Actually, this is the top of the exact sheet, and it's titled Archetypes and Definitions. So here you can see there is the quest or the journey. There's the initiation. There's the fall, not to be confused with blah, blah, blah. The unhealed wound, light or fire. There's black, there's red, and more and more. Archetypes can overlap. They can be combined. They are probably absolutely innumerable. So to simplify your job, we have done that work of compiling a list of 23 archetypes, kind of standards, along with a working definition for each of them, and that's what you'll be using in your paper. And from this list of 23, you'll be choosing just one to complete your research paper. Again, the list of archetypes has been uploaded to Edmodo, and you'll receive a hard copy handout in class, and you may always ask for another if that's an issue for you. I'm hoping that you will find this fascinating, because it is. Archetypes are familiar in all parts of our lives, and so the research itself should be really, really of interest to you. I hope you'll be motivated and start perusing this list of 23 immediately following this short video. Find it on Edmodo, take it out again, start reading through. And try your best to narrow down your interest to maybe 3 or 5 that you think might be fun for you to spend some time. It's going to be a couple of weeks, 2 months maybe. You want to spend some time and put in some effort. Carl Jung himself says that we meet ourselves time and time again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. That is that mysterious journey that we take. But we meet ourselves in disguise, but if we can take off that mask, if we can make what is unconscious conscious, we will know ourselves better and be able to choose for ourselves better. And finally, as a final word of motivation, again from Carl Jung. He tells us that, he believes that, until we make the unconscious, what's in the back of our minds, conscious in the forefront of our mind by reviewing it, reflecting on it, reflecting on our thoughts and our memories and our hopes and our dreams directly, the unconscious will direct our life without our maybe even realizing it, and we'll call it fate. We'll think that it was an accident. We'll think that the things that we are going through are just part of life, and he's arguing that in fact we have chosen them for ourselves. So that's about the archetypes, and I can't wait to get started with you, and I'm looking forward to reading your wonderful papers.